Just over, yeah.
And you was out all this time. You was actually out. Did any of your children actually look like you?
yeah. I mean, I got a few handsome postmen in the area, so that got me concerned. But,
Thank you for supporting our channel. Thank you for supporting Wizan. Please like, subscribe, comment, and hit the notification bell for any future videos. Dave, we're with Jake Burton and Tom Collins. Tom Collins named after the famous Irish cocktail. And here to just discuss basically how they're getting through the knowledge, what they've done, how they're getting on. You had a few questions that you wanted to ask.
How and getting from ground zero, which means you know virtually nothing, to scoring.
So for me, I got an uncle who's a cabbie, and one of my best pals was doing the knowledge. I was a little interested when he first started doing it, but at the time I wasn't disciplined enough to ever bother myself. Picked up in 2017. I done it the KP way when I bought my books. Was determined. My uncle told me KP way is what worked for him. Do my quarter miles, my links. So I did it. I done 640 quarter miles, as that's what it'd be. I done all the link runs. I called them all every time I called Blue Books. I called them. 2017, wife was pregnant with our first kid. 2019, when I had done all my Blue Books and such, she'd just given birth to our third. So I got it cracking. I mean, yeah, you would imagine I was actually too busy on the bike to do any of this. But
Did you have 3 kids in 3 years?
Basically, yeah.
1 kid a year?
Just over, yeah.
And you was out all this time. You was actually out. Did any of your children actually look like you?
yeah, I mean, I got a few handsome postmen in the area, so that got me concerned. But, so at the time, as soon as she got pregnant with the first, it was by the end that I started the knowledge, and that was the purpose of it. I was working in retail at the time, figured that whatever I was on, 25 grand a year is not going to support a family, needed my own stuff, so I thought the knowledge would be good for me. By the time I got all my runs and everything done and we had this larger family now, I realised that her not having as much support at home, she's Italian, she lives alone, no family here. I figured that now's not the time. COVID had hit. As I passed my mock test, I wanted to go for MAP. I got an email from TfL saying, listen, hold tight for that. This is all going on. So I figured if I'm going to have to wait, we never knew how long it was all going to be closed for. So I just said to her, give her a bit of, love back, let's say. Said, look, I'm going to get rid of it all. When the youngest is in nursery, if I can, I'll pick it back up. And not being funny, family and that, why are you stopping it? Why? They think it's going to be a blowout. But I really did have this intent to come back. Got rid of all my stuff, literally binned it all, didn't look at a map for 4 years. 2023 comes around, my youngest is in nursery, and I went, right, I've been told if you don't look at a map and a knowledge, only for a couple of weeks or not, you can get rid of the rust. But what does 4 years worth of rust look like? Really, I thought about it. So I went out, bought all the books again, see if I could pull it back. Sadiq, good old Sadiq, changed a lot of the road. So many different restrictions come in, things that I did know, didn't apply anymore. But I thought to myself, we're going to see what we can do. 2-3 months, calling Blue Books, penning them every day, learning the new routes, learning the new routes, picking up your books, Wizan books and all. So I actually was looking at them both. I thought, all right, I'm going to go for it. Went for MAC test. Weren't too impressive. It was like 80% I got. Done the runs perfect, but it was the points I was dropping. And then went straight up for my first 56s. Luckily for me, first 56s was a variant in Blue Books, as they usually can be. Scored a B. So it's a bit of a target on my back because it looked pretty good. And then, yeah, D, 3-1 down. And it was points I was dropping. All of my lines were good. Every time I went up there, I felt confident. I spoke with confidence. I called clearly, but I was actually destroyed by points. And it was what I was just saying to Dean earlier. I said, look, I really appreciate it. If it wasn't for your app, the Wiz app, the points app,
yeah, it's really good.
I wouldn't know how to revise them. When I done my quarter miles, when I done my Blue Books properly, you imagine I picked up, quite frankly, 6,000 points. That's what you pick up. But many of them, not really important anymore. How do you revise them unless you're writing them down? I wasn't writing them down. I wasn't flicking through the books daily to call 100. So what I found is there's the big ones, they stayed as they would, but all the little intricate ones, gone. So the points app, going out, looking at stickies, I could, not being funny, street view a lot and I was there. It's like deja vu. I could look at it and go, I know that point. Like I remember sitting there, I remember what clothes I was wearing, I know if it was hot or cold, like it comes to you as a memory. So for me, I was lucky I had retained all of that in my subconscious, let's say, for all of those years, and I did. I got rid of the rust, come back, 3-1 down, got Gunning next, called me, and that was fun. Scored with him, 3-2. Oh, yeah. Went in with Hall, 3-3. 3-3 sitting there, Gunning calls me in the second time. I was a bit nervy, as you can imagine, but I just sit there, pulled the points he asked, 4-3, got my drop.
Well
so,
done.
yeah, 28s. 1-1 now. McDowell, I messed that one up. And then the second appearance went well with Hansford. But yeah, man, it's
Well done.
It's been a journey.
Yeah, you made me think about something when you said about the points, because the advantages you've got nowadays, when we would be sitting down doing point to point and we would wonder, can we turn left, let's say, somewhere in Harlesden Road into whatever, anything you like. We had to go there. We had to physically get up, go there to find out if the turn was possible, because there'd be a memory that something's not right. Whereas the advantage of Google Street, you don't necessarily need to go there because you know the street, but you can see on there and get the data that you want without actually making a visit. So what you've got now is that ability to not go there and visit. We used to remember loads of stuff, but that little detail you didn't remember, Google Street can fill in those gaps and save you a journey out there, which means you can focus more on point to point, which for those watching is the most important thing you should always be doing, is the point to point. But that was a great story.
Yeah, no, just one last thing for anyone who is using it, because again, you'd never use it as a crutch, but Street View is useful. Is that I also use Apple Maps, and you can look at the bottom of the screen and it will tell you when the photos were there.
Yeah.
Anything older than 12 months, I will have to go and see, because changes happen so frequent in London now. If it says 2 years ago and I can't get a cleaner, newer photo of a restriction, let's say, I will go in person. That's kind of the method I work for, because the examiners don't expect you to be the whole way across London within a 12-month period at all times. It's too much to ask. So as long as, you're not looking at a 6-year-old photo, or you're just heavily dependent on it. I never really rent to Holston. I never really looked around it. No, go have a look. That's the whole point of Blue Book. So,
Brilliant.
no, it's been great.
Well done. And Tom, what's your story?
My story's a bit different. So I started April 23. My father-in-law got me into it. He's a cabbie. And he just said, do it, Tom. He said, it's the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Just do it. You've got your freedom. The money's good. You get to see your family as well. But yeah, so I started in April 23. I'm 3-1 up 56s. I didn't get my drop the last one with gunning.
You wanted it, but you didn't get it.
Yeah, but we go again. So now cool with Jake every day.
Yep.
Trying to get the standard up. So yeah.
So your journey's been good.
Yeah.
What would you say was the most important tip that you would give to somebody?
Call your books every day.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
What
Call your
about
books.
contacting TfL? How about finding out how to get on it, how to get your pack? Did you find that easier? Did you find it easy to find the stuff online? Or
I had bits coming back, like medical stuff and stuff like that. That was a bit of a drag.
the reason I ask is it is quite a lot of people do have it, and it's not. It doesn't seem so apparent all the time when you go on there. There's no clear thing to me that makes it like, if you like, for really simple. It should be simple, shouldn't it? It should be easy to find and simple to do.
Simple to do.
If you want, why make it any way, shape, or form complicated?
There's a young kid on one of the other groups. I think he's been waiting 5-6 months for the process to sort of go through, you know.
And it's not good, is it?
Well, it's the modern era of somehow that we seem to say we're improving things by computerising everything, but without any doubt, from my experience of going back 30 or 40 years, everything's taking longer, everything's become harder, everything's become more financial. And the process at the moment of contacting TfL, getting secure feelings that you're being heard. I get people emailing they're emailing TfL for their written test, and you get an acknowledgement that the email's been accepted. And the guy on the next table has been accepted and been told his date for his written test. And yet he sent an email in 2 weeks after you did. And you're sitting there thinking, no one's said anything to me. So now what do? You send them another email. They send you an acknowledgement that the email has been accepted. But again, you don't know what's going on. You feel a little bit, you can't contact any voice that gives you the reassurance that you're okay. Just wait patiently, something's up.
Yeah, no, there's that without a phone number, that's lacking, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You can't contact anyone, but that's the modern world, David, isn't it? It's still everything's
email.
Yeah,
Everybody's working from home in their pajamas and fluffy slippers.
Yeah.
yes.
No, but also you could imagine, many years ago it made sense. There were so many people applying to the knowledge all at the same time and such. How many phone operators would you have to hire?
In those times it was
now,
phone call.
Yeah, but that's what's ironic, because now so few are, and just a little phone call. You won't be getting calls every day. There's how many hundreds of people that have applied like yearly, let's say.
Yeah.
And you just get a hold of them. Listen, just wanted to know, my call over partner got an email back 3 weeks ago. I'm still waiting. And then there's this in the back of the head, especially when it comes to the CRB check. Some people, maybe when they were 15, 16, done something so petty, it was so minor, it was nothing.
Yeah.
But they're now, paranoid. They're worried. Their mates got their email, they don't. And a lot of these people, they've put in a year or two's worth of study already before applying, which I would advise against, by the way. You get that fire under your arse, so to speak. It'll force you to get it popping. But yeah, no. So I don't see why there couldn't be a phone number, get through. And
What would you say, Dean, if someone was thinking of doing it? Would you say fill out that pack and get it straight in, even before you've even looked at it, or would you say?
Yeah, if you're thinking of doing it, if you are genuinely going to do it, the first thing is you get accepted, get on it, just apply immediately. Applying is the thing you want to definitely do before anything, because you're not doing anything otherwise. You want to be registered that you are on the knowledge. And while you're applying, I mean, the application stage is a couple of hours, if you're lucky, sitting down, and then a couple of tasks of getting your medical and your CRB check done. You start the knowledge at that same time. You start doing your runs.
And you've put a couple £100 in. It's not much, but you've got skin in the game. You turn around and say, I'm going to do this. How many people do we know that say, oh yeah, I'm going to do that? And 6 months later you ask, oh yeah, I'm going to get round to that. If you put a couple £100 in, it ain't much, but if you've put that in and you know that your time's coming up, a bit like what you said, Dean, I took one of your videos to account when I applied for my map to go for my appearances. Again, my situation was I was never going to feel ready, getting rid of rust and thinking, my God, I've got to bring this back. But you said it, listen, turn up, appearances, experiences. I mean, I got 3-1, I got experiences. Yeah. But they really got me prepared and mentally, ready for sitting in that room and sitting down with the examiners and just trying to be at ease. You either know your stuff or you don't. Yeah. A lot of it is your nerves. Your nerves is what's going to make you go in there and blunder. So unless you get that experience under your belt, unless you just literally go for it, you're going to sit on the wall.
Yeah. That's one thing I regret, I think I've done my books quick, set time to do it, done them, smashed them out. Then I was waiting. I think I ain't ready for this yet. Got me points. Maybe I could have come up maybe a month earlier. Held back. And then I went up and I scored straight away. And I thought I should have just gone up and just straight away,
Yeah, did you do before you applied to get on the knowledge, had you done any knowledge work at all?
Nothing. No.
Nothing?
Not a thing.
Me, I mean, I said that apply straight away. No, I'd done about 200 runs. I'd spoke to a lot of people at the time and they were like, look, so you don't have to feel the pressure. But now in hindsight, I really do think you can easily do the runs in 2 years. I mean, it's supposed to, all the runs, you should be doing 10 a week, I'd say. And that's doing it slow. Where I've done it KP way with links and radiuses, I was doing 2 a day. It was taking me 4.5 hours and I would spend that long on 2 runs. So I really, you know what I mean? And I was still getting 10 a week done.
I was doing what you said in your videos. I was doing the 16 a week. That's what I was doing.
That's flying.
The only mistake, this is something we're doing in a new video anyway, but there's 2 mistakes we've seen people making at the moment. They're not starting to practice point to point early enough. Yeah. So do 80 runs, start practicing point to point with a happy heart, fun. Don't expect to be good at it, just muck around. Yeah. And quite easily, you could ask someone who's done 80 runs to do Gibson Square to Man Hour Station. And it will just be a little bit of a puzzle, a little bit of thought, just reverse the run, it works. You then step it up to the next run, and the reverse doesn't come back the same way it goes, and you suddenly got to think about something. And all you're trying to do with your point-to-point as a beginner is find a solution that you can employ with the roads that you know. So you're not trying to get the best route. You're trying to say, I could solve this Rubik's Cube by doing this particular direction. It takes longer, but it gets you there. But as long as you're arriving at your destination. So starting point-to-point earlier, which is a lot of people make a mistake of waiting till they've done all 320 runs. You need to experiment with it.
Yours, but I started mine between book 3 and book 4, in between sort of thing.
Yeah. The more runs you've got under your belt, the better.
Like the first 56s.
Yeah.
Started doing it like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I agree with the advice. I literally done all my stuff. I penned and called my blue books religiously, and I penned them, so I got a good map awareness. I didn't do point to point until literally appearance. Yeah. And until I applied for map, and then I started doing point to point, which was way too late. I mean, again, it's in my scoring. 1-0 because I was given blue books. And then 3 went down, so it meant that for the next 6 months, I was doing point to point. I was catching up
with 6 months.
It's definitely a case of a book, even 2 books, but at some point you want it just like any experience. You want to have that experience, sit down with someone. Maybe someone's a little further ahead than you. If you're at 100 runs, they're on 200 runs. They can help you with a few things. But again, you're just getting them there.
Yeah. Well, on the second thing of this, there were the 2 things. One was the starting point to point after 80 runs. I'm not saying do 80 point to point a day after 80 runs. I'm saying do some 5-6 runs a day, then 12 runs a day, then 20 runs a day, point to point runs, building up and doing it with fun. But the other thing that is absolutely amazingly important to give you the advantage of going through quickly is the good partner.
Yeah.
Pairing up with someone who's dedicated like you are to share information, to motivate, to push on and to work with. So them two factors in the early days are the keys. And doing the pattern, like you said, doing the 16 runs a week, that's great. That's also part of it. Yeah. And that idea that you said, you're never ready.
No.
Get on appearances.
Yeah, never ready.
The thing is that I've seen the opposite of what's happened to what you said. Someone who's done all 320 runs, done 5,000 points, waited and waited and waited, done point to point till it's coming out their ears, gone for their first appearance and got a D anyway. Yeah. So being on appearances early is going to give you a major advantage as well.
It's all experience, ain't it?
Yeah.
You know, sitting in a chair, it's all experience.
And I think it also comes down to maintenance. What you said makes a good point. You can get all the runs and have all of the points, but you are every single day losing, and you must be adding to gaining. I treat it very much like going to the gym, which is consistency. If you go to the gym hard for a week, just like doing the knowledge hard for a week, 5 days you're on the knowledge, let's say, yeah, and then the next week you're like, because I've done 20 runs this week, I can afford to do 10 next week. Yep. The inconsistency means that on that week you spend a couple of days away from that map, and it's like you've never done the knowledge at all. Yeah. It's really fascinating. Whereas if you just do, you know, if you can only fit an hour in that day, look at the map, look at these big A and B roads, just focus on the map for an hour or so a day, and I've realised that was the change. Doing a bit every day. This whole, I'll take a day off here or there. We've all got family. Again, I got 3 kids, but if I just a moment, or be in a text group with a bunch of fellas and ladies that are on the knowledge, just it keeps the brain wiring. They go, oh yeah, that hotel on Hamilton Place, and you're like, where's Hamilton Place? Like, of course you know it. You've called it 100 times, but in that moment it re-sparks it. I find that's key, is to live in the knowledge, like live within it. Let it be part of your life. It's not a chore. Don't let it be a chore. It's just got to be part of you for a while.
Well, your gym metaphor was perfect, because with anything, when you go to the gym, you very much see results quickly when you first start. Very, very quickly, you see muscle definition, all sorts of stuff. After that, it's a little bit of the progress diminishes, and you kind of make a little bit of progress. And then when you're fully fit, basically there's no progress. There's only maintenance. Yeah. There's keeping yourself where you are. And the knowledge is the same. You're reaching a level where you are not going to get any better. But if you stop, you will get worse.
You will lose it.
So you have to maintain the routine of your day-to-day regime of what you're doing point to point. The same. The gym metaphor is perfect. It matches completely.
A bit like when you get your badge and you get out there. That's the best you'll ever be.
Yeah. You'll never be better now.
No.
I've also heard in terms of work ethic as well. The cabbies I know, they're like, no, you get out in the first couple of years. I mean, you're clawing at every hour God sends. Yeah. You're out there, you know. And then you find what works for you. You know, that's the beauty of this job. I mean, I'm not in it yet, but from what I can see from the outside, it's that you get to see what works for you.
Well, you ain't doing this job to become someone who works in a taxi for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're doing this job for someone to be working in a taxi 6 hours a day, 4 days a week. That's what you're doing it for eventually.
My missus goes to me, I can't wait till you finally finish this. It'll be good. I said, well, you won't see me anyway, because I'll be at work. I'll be in the cab.
Well, do you work now? Both of you got jobs?
Yeah, I work,
Yeah, I'm a full-time bus driver. I work 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. I do 6 days a week. Basically, what happened was when I started, my brother warned me about this years ago. He's a mechanic, and he said, don't do it. He said, the moment you do overtime, you'll live to the overtime.
Yeah.
So where, I'll clear 556 normal hours, I can clear 758 with the extra overtime day. Well, now it's a completely different ball game, and that's the problem. So we've lived to this money. I don't have any outgoings. I could technically cut it back, but I've got 3 kids I like to treat, and we like to do nice things, but it means my day is very regimental. I get home by 2 a.m. I'm asleep. I'm up at 10 a.m.
It has to be, yeah.
I come here 11 till 2, just after 2. So 3 hours a day is literally all I can afford, which is why it's 7 days a week for me. I'll be here as often as I can. Yeah. 2, I go to the gym for an hour and then I go to work. If I drop the gym out because I'm a bus driver, and I'm sure cab drivers would feel the same way, once you have a job that you're driving, you're sitting on your ass all day, you've got to understand that something physical has to also be in your life. Otherwise, lower back problems, like everything. Like, I can only imagine. As long as you do what you're meant to do.
Every day. You work 4 in the afternoon till 2 in the morning, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Wait till you're a cab driver. I think you're going to earn more money than what you're earning now.
It's so funny you said that. I said, I've noticed working up till 2 a.m., we're diurnal creatures. We're not meant to work till that time. Like, I cannot get used to it. Even a couple of days off from work, if I have a week holiday, my body automatically wants to go to bed at 11 p.m. My eyes are going. And so I told the wife, I said, look, 2 p.m. till midnight is what I'll work. 6 days a week in the cab. For now. And there's a reason for it. I don't have anything. I have a wife, I have 3 kids, but I don't have anything. I don't have any net worth, if you will. So I was like, let me do this for a
You
few
certainly
years.
do.
Yeah.
You have a
And then-
fortune because you have 3 children.
That's a good point.
So
It
you
was
have
the
more
reason-
than any money can buy.
Yeah. But it also means that I can get home, I can wake up at like 7, spend an hour and a half with them, take them to school, then go to the gym for the hour like I need to because it's a driving job I do, and then
See, when you get
That's
to
what
where
I
my time of life is,
yeah.
I look at time. I can't buy time.
Yeah.
So I've changed from a man that used to do 6 12-hour shifts of 6 at night till 6 in the morning. And now you're lucky to see me do 6 or 7 hours for like 4 or 5 times a week. I want to be at home with the family. I want to go and see the family because I can't buy the time at my age.
Oh, I bet. Well, my uncle
So-
actually said that to me. The reason he started at 49 and got out at 53, so he started much later in his life, which inspired me, if I'm honest, to go and do it. Because if he can do it, I can do it. You know. But he said to me, "Yeah, it'd be the best job for you because of the kids, because of the time." And I said, "Look, until I can secure maybe my own house, because I live in a council flat, which is lovely, but I'll get my house, I'll pull a mortgage. That's the hope." And then once I've got that, then I can start correcting my time and hours for the money I'm going to
I wouldn't do that.
Work them hours. You'll soon have your own house.
No, I'd say keep the council house.
Yep.
Use all the money that you get to buy a nice house in Italy,
Yeah.
and use the house in Italy as a place where you love and cherish.
That's a great idea.
And the council house in London is just a base camp that you could walk away from at any stage. That is your thing for just driving
Just
the
don't
cab or
sell the
whatever.
council.
I was going to say, yeah.
Just don't sell the council.
Well, funnily enough, in the marriage to my wife, we're given a 2-bed flat, so I already have one in Italy, and my council flat is on Copenhagen Street. So
Yeah, essential. That's it.
So I'm
Just keep
kinda
it like
set.
I would
I'm
invest all
set.
property abroad because certainly in Italy there's some very, very cheap properties
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Italy to
there
buy.
is.
It's not like this country where it's all up in the air, but it's just a better place to invest in something that's for me and you. For my life out in Turkey, my house in Turkey is my dream. It's lovely. While we're getting older, you want to be fulfilling something of your desires in life. And my desire is not to live here, not to live in Copenhagen Street.
Yeah.
Going back to the hours, my father-in-law, so when he first passed out, I think he worked maybe 2 weeks in a day. For like 30 years now, he's worked nights. He said, I'll never work day again. I don't know how he does it.
I like the nights.
I don't know how they do it for so long, so many years. I just think, 30 years a night. It's a
I
long
did
old
many
time.
years. I did many years. Didn't do 30, but I did many years of nights, and I never ever got used to it. Never got used to it at all.
It's hard on your body
Yeah,
clock, isn't it?
it's just struggle. I used to struggle. Yeah,
I didn't.
I've said before. We used to get.
It might be the fact of who
we
we are,
used to get
different people.
an airport run, and it'd be on the early ones coming in for Heathrow, and it'd be like 5:30 in the morning. And they'd be coming in early, and normally the long haul are allowed in before 6. So something from New Zealand or from the States.
I don't call
or
that
something,
nights. I
red
call
eye.
that mornings.
Yeah, I
Dave.
was going to say.
I've been up all night, but I've been awake all night.
Okay.
I've been driving all night.
Yeah,
and
and then
now
you're gonna
the
get the
last
airport.
job would be, and I've said it before, we used to go down to Pfizer. It used to be down in Sandwich in Kent, and that was a horrendous journey because they was red eyed. They'd all be asleep from Connecticut, Pfizer people in the back, and you had to drive them down to Sandwich in Kent from Heathrow, and I used to struggle. And I used to struggle. I used to have the Vixenales up each nostril.
Yeah, that's the big Sinex days.
That's
But the nights have pros, don't it? So you get more money in the nights.
Are you a fisherman?
And then there's no...
I
If
don't
you know
know.
anything about fishing, it's basically there's the times when there's no fish. They're not feeding when it's warm weather in the middle of the afternoon, but then there's the early mornings and the early evenings where the fish are feeding. And this is it. You basically go out there when you're driving a cab. The rule of thumb was always do one rush hour, wasn't it? You do
Try to only do one.
do the morning rush
Try
hour,
not
do
to
the evening
two
rush hour.
hours because that makes it a tall order. So your split shift of like I've done that as well, coming out lunchtime, afternoon is a good one because you only do the evening rush hour and it quietens down. So that way you get to go in. If you live outside of town as well, you get to go in early in the morning before the rush hour, come home before the evening rush hour, something like that.
Yeah.
Don't try to do 2 rush
Well,
hours.
Jake's
2 rush
right in the
hours-
middle of it. He's going to be. It's really, really lovely when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
No, he can work both rush hours.
Yeah.
Because that's what he can come out in the morning at 6 and stay till 10, go home, have a couple of hours, come back out at 4 and do till 7 or 8 some days.
Yeah.
And you'll learn well like that. as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Also, though, my uncle who I've spoke to about it, he said to me, I said to him, what I'll do is I'll never switch the light off. I'll just start heading home. He goes, no, don't do that. At some point, you've got to switch your light off.
Yes.
Yeah, you
And
do.
I said to him, but I don't have the heart. Let's say my light is off, but someone still flags you anyway because they don't really know. And I pull up and they say, I can't leave that there.
No, you'll learn that,
you-
Jake.
you-
Yeah,
you
you
will.
won't- you
I
won't.
guess fatigue
So-
will teach me that.
Yeah.
2
I've had
in the
enough.
morning in Twickenham and things like that, when
Yeah.
the opposite way to where you want to be. And you've got to get back up because you've got to take the kids somewhere. So you've got to get back up
That's
at
a good
6.
point.
And you're now 3 in the morning in Twickenham going, I'm going to have an hour and a half at best here.
Yeah.
Turn it off,
that's
go
it.
home.
That makes sense.
And not only that, becomes dangerous if you do get a long run. That's just saying what I used to do at the airport. So you get that long run and you've been up all night.
Oh, and I bet it completely kills your next day's productivity.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the catch.
Yeah.
That's your way
You're
up.
paying for it.
Yeah, you do a long day where you take a lot of money, and you think I've taken a lot of money, but if I'd have worked 2 of my normal days, I'd have actually took more of 2 normal days instead of doing the one long stretch, which killed me for the following day.
Gotcha.
So there's a balance you've got to find out for yourself. Have you got any nice stories of appearances?
My first one was good.
Go on, tell us about that, Tom.
Mr. Wilkins. So I studied all these stuff. I liked these sort of questions. These questions were good. Spoke to me all through the appearance after every question. Asked me what I'd done, if I had family, this and that. And yeah, just give me nice bankers sort of things. Yeah, smashed it. Give me a B. That was nice. Yeah, you walk out and you think, why didn't I come up like two months ago, you know?
Yeah.
Do this, you know what I mean?
Well, you did have Wilkin, though. There's a lot of bankers, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I never had him.
Oh.
Gutted he's gone, really.
Him and Patel, I think, was the only 2 I never had.
Oh, maybe, well, what can I say? What can I say that I can't edit out?
Jay Patel. I've met Jay. We met him, haven't we? He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's
actually.
lovely, Jay.
Sweetheart.
He's a lovely guy. He is.
It's funny, of those 2, I've got 2 stories of Wilkin and Patel, funnily enough. With Wilkin, it was interesting. I got smashed on points. I scored like 19 or 20. My lines were good again, but this was one of the early Ds on the 56s. And I'd walk in there and he'd go, it just give 2 points off the bat. Boom, boom. I don't know those, sir. And then he'd give me another 2. Boom, boom. I don't know him, sir. And he'd give me another 2. And I'll pull one of them, but because I didn't pull the pair, he didn't care. He'd give me another 2. And that's what it was like. And 8 points down, then I started pulling them. He started giving me things I knew, but... And then with Patel, that was my first day on 56s. Went in there. Looking back now, he gave me perfectly fine runs. Albert Gate to like Harrods and that, just to see if I know restrictions and such. You know, I fumbled a couple of them. And I could see he was frustrated. You know, people talk about the way some examiners are and how some have attitude. I could see he was frustrated. By the end of it, he looked mad. Like, he was mad. Like, you ain't scoring. You ain't, and that was the way he said it. You ain't scoring. I don't know how you got this B. You ain't scoring. And I just stopped and I looked at him and went, sir, I'm ever so sorry for wasting your time. Next time I come here, I will be better, and one day I will be a cabbie. And he looked at me and went, oh, you'll be fine, mate. You carry on what you're doing. And literally completely shifted his attitude. And I realised, I sat there and was like, because all of the examiners I've seen, they've all been fair and they've all been nice. And I've got plenty of these. It's not like it's all looked good and rosy for me. What I found was they all have their own quirks and ways. They all want you through, but they're not going to give you anything. They've worked their arse off for their badge, just like every other cabbie out there. It's just as hard as it needs to be. But if they can see that you're trying, because straight away they can usually tell if you've done the work or not, or if you're just having a bad day, as we can all have. But I think they're all good people.
Yeah, they've all been nice.
Yeah.
They've all been nice.
And Gunning, I don't know why he gets a bad rap. I like Gunning.
Yeah, Gunning was
He's
really
a nice
nice
guy.
You know?
No, Gun is great. It's just that his questions are hard, which is fine.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
perfectly happy with hard questions. I love hard questions. The argument against when an examiner is good or bad is not so much the questions, it's persona and attitude and maybe the way they make you feel. Yeah. So there is criticisms of some examiners that come along those lines.
Yeah.
Before, when there was such a large amount of people, there was competition and the questions kept getting harder because, like you said, they know if you're doing the work. Yeah, if you're calling your blue book and you're doing point to point each day, you're going to be in a certain category where you need to be. And then the ones that are doing it that are talented are going to be above that. But the ones that are not calling their blue book and the ones that are not doing much point to point, they stand out like sore thumbs. Yeah. They are seen straight away by all the examiners. The difficulty of questions, I think at the moment, the difficulty of questions is relatively easy in comparison to the difficulty of questions going back into the late 90s, early 2000s and onwards. There probably was a optimum time for the questions going up and up and up in difficulty. Yeah.
So what do you mean difficulty? In what way? Why is it more difficult?
You could look at, I see less intricacy of, like, we would look at a question, certainly around Oxford Street and Mayfair, Soho and places like that. You could think about a question as an examiner that you want to ask that has only one solution, doesn't have a second. So when you make a run short, the shorter the run, the more there's only one solution. The longer the run, you can vary on the possibilities that you might want to run. So you could look for this more technicality question that you want to ask, and it would mean that for you to be able to answer it, you'd need to be doing the volume of point to point to come across it during your point-to-point session, to then look at the solution, to find the solution, plus you have to remember the solution because there's just only one. So these kind of technical questions, they are the foundation in a sense of what the missing pieces are. The missing pieces are roads that you don't know from your blue book, but they're also based upon the premise of creating a question that is technically difficult that you couldn't answer unless you pre-learned it. That seems to have declined for me over the years, that you have less of that than you did before.
And do you think, when Jake's saying about Mr. Wilkins asking for 2 points, both together, and if you didn't get both of them, that's his way of saying, if you get both of them 4 times and call the run, I'll give you an A.
Well, he used to give A's
Because
quite
after that,
often.
he starts to ask you points you know, and he asks individually. So what he's doing there is chucking 2 at you, know both of them, call the line that's a banker, and do that 4 times, you got an A.
Yeah, that's what he done with me. Yeah, he's giving me 2 points.
After a while, when you're no longer in it, he's took enough points off you.
Yeah.
He's
Then
going to let you have a go to try and score possibly a B, but maybe like he's going to give you a chance to get a C, and then you got balls that up, and
Yeah.
Also, he's the only examiner that started calling the moment he opened that door. I hadn't sat. I hadn't even given my card. As I'm doing that, he's giving me the 2 points. It was, again, I can see that they've got their ways of doing it. I find it fun. I find it fascinating. I go up there with the intent to score, and if I don't score, the show must go on, and I will, and one day it will come. If I'm putting the work in, I know it will.
Was that the first one you had?
It was my...
First 56?
No, that was with... Oscar,
Because he sat me down, he was like,
56.
take a seat.
Yeah.
He was all nice.
All different days. The examiners,
Yeah.
literally, you're going to hear every personality from every examiner story.
It's fun.
Everyone I've had,
It's
everyone
amazing.
I've had. So I've
love
heard obviously you hear bad things about Patel gunning. So I was in, Patel smiled and he said, "Oh, I had you on the match test."
Jay Patel's a lovely guy.
Hey, and he was
Yeah.
talking to me, and I thought, "Oh, lovely. He's in a good mood today," and I scored. But yeah, he was really nice. Gunning was really nice after. We sat for 10 minutes after talking, and he said, "Oh, do this, go to a school," and now I'm at the school. But yeah. But he was really nice.
if you was to look back now and say what could you improve,
I don't think it's promoted very much.
Yeah, it's not promoted very well, obviously. So many people still don't understand the knowledge, its process, and what makes a cabbie. It is a bit of a dinosaur time with the application process. I do believe that. Handing in, getting post office, making sure you keep your receipts, making sure you chase them up, not hearing a word. In terms of making the actual process of being on a knowledge easier, I got to give it to you, Dean. I mean, I think without you, I would be in a state with my amount of full-time work, with my family, with my other commitments. I would have knocked other things on the head to make it happen, but I really don't see it with how much they're asking. Not because it's more difficult. I technically think the knowledge has become easier with the fact that we have Street View as a use, as a tool, but also, like you say, many roads and restrictions have completely limited certain things. You can't use the Dirty Dozen through Soho and stuff like that. Nothing even close. So if you want anything if you want Soho Square, you're getting in Dean Street. That's it. They've simplified everything. You're on the east side or the west side of Soho where there's only certain options. So you have to come down Regents and get in Shaftesbury, etc. And basically, so the knowledge itself, I think, is easier. What you have done, which I find very fascinating, because as a cabbie, you didn't need to do it. I personally think that. I think you do it because you care. You care about the process itself. Otherwise, how you've come about and created this app, this points app, it's unbelievable to me. Without it, I wouldn't be able to be where I am.
We were talking earlier, weren't we? We were saying, I don't know how, years ago, he was revising points. I said it to my father-in-law. He goes, "What, you revise points? What do you revise points for?" I said, "Oh, because I need to revise them, don't I? I need to know what they are."
The techniques years ago were really poor that people used to do. Again, this is why, the index cards, super poor technique. One index card, they put information on the back. They would end up with boxes and boxes of cards.
8,000.
Yeah, and it was a waste of time. Basically, the situation that you really needed to do back then that was most efficient was realise that the points that you knew least were the points you pointed most recently. So if I went out today and pointed 30 points, they're new. And long-term memory takes care of them if you revise them properly. So those 30 need to be revised. So this is how you would do it. That page of the 30 points I've done today, I revised them. On top of it goes the next page of the next day's 60 points. Then on top of that and on top of that. And you end up with a pack that's about 600 points. You can revise that. It's manageable. As soon as you put the next page on, you've now got more than you can do in one day. And you need to accept that the page at the very, very bottom has been revised all this time And now it's on its own, just right away, because there's no way you can get to it. The most important page is the one on the top. You visited it yesterday. You need to get them in your long-term memory. And you just kept going. And when you looked at a point sheet, the funny thing about the point sheets back then, they didn't show postcodes. And my example of this was I was asked to go to a club. There was a club in Park Road. Which Park Road?
Yeah.
Honestly, I never found it. Yeah, it kept coming out, and I kept on looking St John's Wood, just NW1 Park Road. I kept going up and down looking for this club where I thought it was, but it was Park Road, Crouch End, and I never found it until the end of the knowledge. But no postcodes was bad, no door numbers. So you'd be down the King's Road. Everybody in my day carried a phone book. So the point would be on the King's Road. You'd have to look up 631 King's Road. Now you know where you're looking. Otherwise, you could be driving the King's Road for the rest of your life. Yeah, never find it. So there was that. The other thing it didn't tell you was no one's ever asked this point before. It's the first time. I'm on 56s. I don't know Buckingham Palace, and I'm trying to look for Dallas Kebab Shop. And the Dallas Kebab Shop was a point, by the way. It was asked. I don't think it's been asked for a while. But that's the kind of thing that you now have an advantage of that we saw back then. It's knowing what's popular. Getting that taken care of as a beginner, that's what's popular. Getting to find it easier without the fact that the postcode and the point sheets, the door numbers, which we all began, we were the first to add those to the point sheets as they come out. So these things do make all of that aspect easier. And then the fact of how people used to revise it with the index cards was such a bad idea. Oh, yeah. It was a waste of paper, waste of money, waste of time.
So if Dean was to do a little small series of videos showing from start to finish, like someone how to apply what you and all the different stuff that you needed to go through stages to get up and onto appearances, that'd be a good thing.
I'd think so, yeah. I mean, some people, they're used to the paperwork of England and getting things done and going through that process, and some people aren't, and they can apply themselves to the knowledge and be good. I've got a friend of mine, he's another bus driver, by the way, but English isn't his first language. He finds it hard to fill out some of these forms. Sometimes the questions are arbitrary, they're weird in the way that they're asked. So then I'd sit down and write it with him, such like that. And I realised these people are great and they can apply. They're really good at when they're on the knowledge. It's just sometimes these things can be finicky. You know, I've got years of experience, let's say, with my mum and that telling me, nah, trust me, if you do something postal wise, it takes forever to get back. You've got to chase people up. So, you know, I can rely on that. I think it'd be good.
Yeah, we'll do that, Dave. We're working on that.
It would be, wouldn't it? The complete knowledge.
Step-by-step guide, one by one.
Starting and getting on it. Once you're on it yourselves, like you are, then you're just doing it yourselves anyway, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, they talked about promotion as well. I am not a fan of promotion of the knowledge. And you say it's not promoted very well. You both gave the same background of how you got onto the knowledge. Yeah. Everybody gets on the knowledge, yes. Yeah. And it is the best promotion that we have. And it's kind of the only promotion maybe we need. You tell anybody else, you advertise it. Anybody walking in the street doesn't really think about being a taxi driver because it hasn't been sold to them. Yeah. We sell it to each other. That's why we do it. We know the benefits. We're selling it to you. You know what's going to happen when you pass out.
I always wondered why, like, for example, a family member who's a cab driver or whatever will promote it to you. You'll be there for Christmas dinner. They'll be like, oh, you should do this. But whenever I've ever seen cab drivers and I'm on my bike, maybe 9 out of 10 will be like, game's dead, not worth it. And I'm like, you know, I don't really know the reason as to why that is, because then I'm sure they'll go home and tell their nieces and nephews, the knowledge is great, go and do it for yourself.
I tell you what I think it is. When you drive a cab, there's an increase in your lifestyle from what it usually, there should be anyway. What your lifestyle was before, this should be an increase. You've stepped up. But it's a step up into the fact of, wouldn't it be nice if I could earn all of this money but not go to work? So you'll never be rich driving a cab. That's the old proverb. You'll never be rich. But at the same time, you won't have to work as hard as regular people. You won't have to. We're not regular people. We won't have to. The lack of freedom that other people have. You could get up tomorrow and take your kids to Disneyland as a choice. Bang, done. Everything like that has to be planned and thought about by other people. We've got. It's a great job.
It's the freedom.
Yeah.
See, you say you'll never be rich. I wouldn't say that. I'd say you'll never be poor.
Well, that's the spin, isn't it? You're a spin doctor, David.
You'll never be poor.
Rich, but
you'll never be poor. You can always just go out there whenever you want.
You're comfortable.
If you suddenly realise you've got a holiday coming up, a bill coming up, what's stopping you going out there?
Yeah. But no, I do think what you said about the freedom aspect, that was another thing that really pushed me. As a bus driver, I sat there, I walked in, I said to my allocation, which obviously set out my duties, I said, look, 3 weeks' time, I got a parents' evening, and it's at 4:30, and I start work at 4 o'clock on that day. Could we swap the day over? Could I start a little later? Can you get someone to cut? Whatever. And then I'll cover you weeks of overtime, whatever you want, but I'm there for parents' evening. The manager come out, it was an allocation, the manager come around and was like, listen, that's not how it works here. And then, so I had to say to her, I was like, look, it's 3 weeks' time, I'm going to be very sick on that day. Well, Jake, you can't do that. I'll take the warning. I know it's going to be rubbed out in 6 months. I'm a good driver. Never complaints. Parents' evening. There's no way you're telling me that my kids ain't first and foremost in my life. They are. Yeah. So I know this job's going to give me that kind of freedom. I didn't like that. I will do everything. Being an employee for an employer, I'll do everything from overtime, extra rate, whatever. But when my family's first, they're first. This is a discussion. I'll go get another job. That's the beauty of being in an entry-level job, which I'm in right now, is I go work for someone else. Yep. National Express, Arriva, I can just change it. So, no, you're not holding me to this. Yeah. But the cabbie means I can just literally go in, do it, and then back out. I could come in, literally take my kids' dentist, go to a parents' evening, do what needs to be done, and then back in the cab at King's Cross.
Straight on it.
Straight down, have a look at the rank. That's all the way up Camley Street. And
listen, it's been great talking to you. We didn't want to make it last too long. It's been 45 minutes. Great for sharing your experiences with us. We're going to put that on a podcast for everybody else to share and listen to, because you got some great advice and stories there. We wish you the best of luck. 28's coming.
28, yeah. I'm up next Monday.
Drop the 7th. Next Friday.
Mm-hmm. So good luck with the appearances in the future. You're only a few months away. 6 months maximum.
Top man.
Driving cabs. Yeah, there were you, Dave. You're nicking your money.
I don't know about that. I'll be indoors.